A miracle of Ukrainian defense, a revolution on the battlefield. The smartest and deadliest accurate drone is already here. Engineers have created a sensation. Drone robots and new strike systems are entering the fight at cosmic speed. The enemy is stunned, communications are paralyzed, and equipment is disabled. Which secret development is changing the rules of war right now? Watch now!
Reconnaissance, fire adjustment, and striking targets by dropping munitions. The Chinese Mavic drone is practically the main weapon of the Ukrainian armed forces in the war against the occupier. And now Ukrainian industry has begun supplying domestically produced Mavic-type UAVs to the front lines.
A certain Mr. X invested, created the Ukrainian Mavic, and we will see it soon. We've already delivered the first 1,000 to the battlefield.
Compared to the Chinese Mavic, the Ukrainian counterpart has a greater flight range and can carry a heavier payload. It is used not only for reconnaissance, but also for strike missions. The importance of the emergence of Ukrainian drones in this niche is hard to overestimate, since there are huge problems with the supply of Mavics to Ukraine.
DJI has banned sales to Ukraine, piously declaring that its products are not intended for military purposes, so drones have to be purchased from third parties. The security issues are obvious. The Pentagon has banned any use of DJI drones which send data back to the manufacturer. DJI has also added security features that make it impossible for the latest models to fly in geo-blocked zones, including Ukraine, without extensive hacking. Finally, sovereign drone production appears to be a key strategic capability for the future.
The Chinese Mavic drone's counterpart is called the Shmavic, and despite its ironic name, it has already been certified and boasts some serious features.
The Shmavic is positioned as a tactical reconnaissance drone designed to carry out operational tasks on the front lines. Unlike the civilian Mavic, which is mainly used for aerial photography and videography, the Shmavic is built for combat conditions. It has a range of up to 15 kilometers, a flight time of up to 60 minutes, and is equipped with a reliable navigation system resistant to interference.
As early as last year, the government announced its interest in replacing Chinese drones. Now, manufacturers have already completed certification of Ukrainian Mavics and production has been established.
As of today, it is impossible to fully replace the entire fleet of drones currently being used in Ukraine in the short term. Our weapons manufacturers already have developments and designs that meet the needs of our security and defense forces. Now it is necessary to scale up this production, minimize the number of foreign counterparts as much as possible, and switch to domestic models.
There are already many Ukrainian analogs of the Mavic, including Ukreporter, Yaitia, and the charming Shmavic. They are larger than DJI Mavic drones and are equipped with long-range communication. They are resistant to interference and cost more. But they may turn out to be more economical thanks to their greater reliability.
For us, the key indicator is not the price per drone, but the cost of a single mission. While a typical Mavic performs about 60 missions per drone, our systems on average complete around 300 missions per unit. With a comparable purchase price, the cost of a single mission is 5 times lower. This means that military units operating our drones receive a much greater overall economic benefit. Drone manufacturer.
Independent UAV production is a crucial element of modern warfare, and Ukraine knows this better than anyone, because both short-range UAVs and long-range strike drones have become key elements of national defense.
The front has exploded. The AFU have driven the enemy into a deadly trap. Pokrovsk, Kupiansk, there's no way out. The Ukrainian flag is already in the city center. Shock in the Kremlin. Putin's plans are turning to dust. Soldiers are fleeing in panic. Fiery traps are snapping shut one after another, and propaganda can't keep up with inventing new myths. Watch for all the details.
The Ukrainian flag is once again in the center of Pokrovsk. The AFU have cut off the Russian salient to the north of the city, and fighting is already taking place on the bottom of the Kakhovka reservoir. The latest news, what's happening on the front today. Watch right now. Today, Pokrovsk is the main hotspot of the Russian-Ukrainian war. The main objective of the enemy is to secure their hold on the city as much as possible, according to the AFU. To achieve this, the enemy is increasingly using civilian clothing. In particular, this is how they managed to raise the Russian tricolor over the Pokrovsk City Council. A few hours later, the defense forces restored the Ukrainian flag to its place, destroying an observation post inside the building and clearing out the enemy in the process. At the same time, fighting continues in other districts of the city.
Ukrainian defense special units have eliminated more than 100 Russian occupiers. This number only includes irrecoverable losses, not so-called sanitary losses. At present, the main efforts of the special units, the main intelligence directorate of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine, and the Special Operations Forces are focused on unblocking logistics. The Ukrainian Defense Forces are expanding their area of presence to prevent the possible operational encirclement of our units.
At the same time, in their attacks on Pokrovsk, the Russians tried to use the weather as a factor, according to fighters on the ground. And the first attempts to drive through the city using vehicles have already been recorded.
Meanwhile, a National Guard drone operator from the Hostry Kartusi unit is observing a troubling trend. The Russians are at least trying to enter Pokrovsk using vehicles. Unfortunately, the bad weather is currently playing into the hands of the occupiers, writes Hostry Kartusi. Previously, we saw Russian troops infiltrating Pokrovsk exclusively on foot, and at most there were occasional attempts to break through on motorcycles. But today, due to the fog, we have already spotted the first Russian military pickup truck in the city. They leisurely scattered the barricades and drove through the streets of Pokrovsk.
However, they were later destroyed, analysts add. At the same time, the main clashes are already taking place on the far outskirts of Pokrovsk. Within the city itself, both Ukrainian and Russian positions remain. Both sides are making a particular effort not to draw attention to themselves so as not to attract a barrage of drones.
The main fighting between Ukrainian and Russian units is taking place specifically on the northern outskirts. The Ukrainian forces that remain deeper within the city are not drawing attention for now. They are likely waiting for reinforcements to strengthen their counterattacks. As a result, the Russian infiltration has gradually deprived Ukraine of control over most of Pokrovsk, creating a gray zone. But Russian soldiers are also unable to take control of it. Their forces are insufficient and the threat from drones is too great.
However, this situational success of the occupiers is primarily due to colossal losses. As our drone operators report, during our assault on average, they send groups of 3 people with the clear expectation that 2 will almost certainly be killed, and if anyone survives, it will only be 1.
In some areas near Pokrovsk and in Pokrovsk itself, Russian losses reach a ratio of 1 to 18 in favor of the Ukrainians. That is, for every wounded or killed Ukrainian soldier, there are up to 18 killed and wounded Russian servicemen.
Russian units are also aware of these statistics. That's why every time the occupiers receive reinforcements, it looks roughly like this. People against their will. Meanwhile, analysts are noting the successes of the defense forces north of Pokrovsk. There, Russian forces continue their attempts to get behind our group's lines. However, time and again, they suffer defeat.
These are tactical successes of the Ukrainian defense forces in the area of Shakov and Rodinsky. These 2 settlements are currently key to ensuring the logistics of the Ukrainian defense forces. And our defenders have managed to significantly improve their positions in these directions. In addition, there has been significant progress in the Shakov area. This makes it possible to effectively cut off the so-called incursion of Russian troops into the defense, into the Ukrainian defense forces.
Putin's troops are also failing to achieve their objectives in Kupiansk. The city, which according to Gerasimov has supposedly been encircled for 2 weeks, is putting up such resistance that the Russians haven't advanced a single meter there during this time.
Naturally, there is no question of Kupiansk being encircled, just as with Pokrovsk, because the Russians' plan was to encircle it from the north. They wanted to break through from the south, cut off a large group of Ukrainian troops, and eliminate, or rather create a breach in our defenses. That was their goal, but they failed to achieve it, so the assaults continue. Now they're trying to infiltrate the city from the north in this way, but Ukraine's defense forces are acting actively, both in Kupiansk itself and to its north.
Meanwhile, an unexpected direction of fighting is unfolding in the Zaporizhia sector, right on the bed of the Kakhovka Reservoir.
Yes, it has already dried up enough for soldiers to pass through there. As a result, Ukrainian special forces made it as far as the Bolshaya Kuchuguri Islands, where a Russian position was already located. The Ukrainians achieved victory, took control of the islands, and now part of the mainland, and raised their flag. By the way, this is what Bolshaya Kuchugori used to look like. For a long time after the dam was breached, the bed of the Kakhovka reservoir remained boggy and soft, but it gradually dried out and became overgrown with grass and shrubs. As we can see, infantry can already move around there. Light vehicles most likely can as well.
And finally, new details have emerged regarding the recent Ukrainian strike on Donetsk. As is known, a warehouse storing Shahed-type drones was hit there the day before. Now it has become known how many of them were there.
The estimated number of Shahed-type UAVs, including Geran, that were stored in the warehouses at Donetsk airport is about 1,150 to 1,200. Whether all of them were destroyed is unknown. These are analysts' estimates. This is roughly a month's supply of Shaheds for use at the front line, meaning for striking tactical targets on the front, for which the Shaheds are essentially converted into giant FPV drones.
Let me remind you, most experts agree that the strike was carried out by Ukrainian Flamingo missiles, which in fact successfully penetrated Russian air defenses 3 times in 4 days.
Every voice matters. Join our community, support independent journalism and help us bring you the truth from Ukraine. Become a member of Ukraine Today. Join us now.
A secret behind the Kremlin's curtains. Who are these people in black suits? Putin's secret bodyguards. They can anticipate an attack and neutralize a threat, but shocking rumors are emerging. Could it be that these very people who have direct access to the dictator might one day decide his fate? Watch.
They are always nearby. At summits, funerals, hockey games, and even in the sauna. Putin's bodyguards are not just security, they are an entire parallel universe where the main purpose in life has become preserving the body of the aging dictator. They stand like statues, scanning the crowd, seemingly without blinking. If someone gets too close, they instantly form a human shield.
On foreign social media, a video is going viral where Putin's bodyguard looks like a Terminator. His gaze seems to have scanned the entire crowd in a second.
There are a huge number of videos about Putin's security online. But who are all these people and why are they trusted more than any minister? In the 90s, St. Petersburg's Vice Mayor Putin didn't have state security, so a private bodyguard, Roman Seprov, a former celebrity bodyguard, was by his side.
Here, within the walls of the Kremlin, the history of our country has been made for centuries.
Here he is, Roman Seprov, in the center of the frame, standing right next to Ksenia Sobchak and Alexander Rosenbaum during Putin's inauguration.
Seprov became not just a bodyguard, but a mediator between the future president and the criminal world. Through him passed both casino contracts and flows of black cash. So let's just say the beginnings of Putin's security service were rather creative.
The head of the security agency repeatedly carried out all sorts of delicate assignments. For example, it is believed that it was Seprov who acted as the intermediary between Putin and the St. Petersburg crime bosses.
When Putin became president, the myth of an eternal threat became part of the cult. Officially, there were allegedly 5 assassination attempts on him. Snipers, Arabs, Chechen militants, a set of enemies to fit the mood. And the more threats there are, the more security he gets.
5 assassination attempts, or so I was told. Not as many as Castro had. There were 50 attempts on his life. According to official data, there were 5 on you. Yes.
Since then, Putin's security has become not just a service, but almost a whole religion. To get into the inner circle, you need to be not just healthy and loyal. You need a perfect passport, no beard, no tattoos, and no doubts.
All of Putin's bodyguards have service experience. This could be the FSO or FSB Academy, and before that, military schools. Candidates go through several interviews, talk to a psychologist, and of course, take a polygraph. How else can you find out if the person guarding Vladimir Vladimirovich is a patriot or not?
The average age of Putin's bodyguard is 36, with a salary of 80 to 100,000 rubles. Yes, they protect a national treasure, but they earn less than a sales manager in Moscow. Still, they get honor, stability, and trips to Gelendzhik on assignment. Alexei Dyumin, the main star of the Kremlin security, is said to have saved Putin from drowning and even from a bear. Over the years of his service, Dyumin rose from bodyguard to governor of Tula and later became a presidential aide. Essentially, Putin's security detail is a career elevator, only it goes up through loyalty.
It was a very remote site in the mountains, and at night I was on duty in the house. The president was already resting, and then over the radio they told me, a bear is approaching your entrance. Naturally I was armed, and the president was upstairs. So the bear and I looked each other in the eyes, he backed off a little, I opened the door and emptied the entire magazine of my pistol at his feet.
Even Putin's cooks are FSO officers. They don't just grill meat, they also practice shooting at the range. Every ingredient is checked as if it were a nuclear launch button. Before Putin himself tastes a dish, his bodyguards try it first.
All my cooks are employees of the Federal Protective Service. They're military personnel holding various ranks. I don't have any other cooks.
Today, Putin travels in an armored train equipped with a hammam, a gym, and secure communications. And everywhere he goes, a special suitcase follows him. Inside, there's neither paper nor a laptop. It contains the president's biomaterials. Putin's security feeds him, protects him, and idolizes him. Because in a system where the safety of one person is more important than the safety of the entire country, that's how it works.
That's all for now. For more breaking news from the front, tune in to the next episode.